To my dearest friends, through the evil noise of artillery, tanks, and planes, I remember our adventures, our friendship, and our pain.
Video games are obsessed with warfare. Ancient, covert, modern, futuristic. But Valiant Hearts is one of the only few to take a look at the First World War. It's a studied depiction, but one in which you rarely shoot a gun. It's a puzzle adventure that's much more interested in how people are affected by such terrible events. Occasionally, it gets a bit too bogged down with historical trivia, but overall it's a stylish and sincere adventure with a very big heart.
Every life saved was another small victory over the war.
The most striking aspect is the splendid art direction. Playing it really feels like watching a wonderful piece of animation, and I was surprised at just how versatile the style is. Of course, it shines at the beginning when asked to depict the splendour of rural France, but it's equally effective when tackling much more difficult environments. The trenches and the front in particular resemble scenes from hell, with thick smoke weighing down from above and piles of corpses providing cover. Its cartoon appearance never conceals the real horror of what's taking place. Similarly, the characters have much more depth than their flat appearance suggests. Set along the border of France and Germany, it tells the interlocking story of 5 protagonists, all touched by war. You spend time with each one, but it's the animation which brilliantly reveals so much about them. Barrel-chested Freddy struts into battle with the conviction of a man out for revenge. Emile has a more downtrodden gait that betrays his weariness. They also make inarticulate, yet strangely intelligible sounds. The bold art style succeeds because of some deft touches, so it's a real shame that the narrator has no qualms with laying it on a bit thick.
Emile, still bedridden, beseeched Anna to travel to Saint Mihiel to find his daughter and share the sad news of Karl's death.
Nowhere is this more pronounced than at the end, which is predictably moving but was spoilt somewhat by the narrator unscoring what I already felt unprompted. Unexpectedly, there's a sense of humour to be found. Sometimes this works brilliantly, like when Anna flees from Paris to the strains of the Can-Can. But elsewhere it's less well judged. The story goes to great lengths to underscore the universal horror of war and how it affected people of all nationalities. One of the characters you play is a German soldier, so to have a bratwurst-chomping villain as the only identifiable antagonist seems a bit at odds with the rest of the experience. He's definitely more caricature than character. Valiant Hearts is an adventure game full of puzzles which aren't that difficult to solve. It's clear the experience is being pitched at everyone rather than those who need a big challenge. This never bothered me in the slightest though. Actually, I think getting stumped on a puzzle would have undercut my interest in the plot. And there's pleasing variety in what you're given to do. Some puzzles involve simple object gathering, while others require strategic costume changes. Similarly, the action sequences aren't that demanding, though I had to replay a few to get the timing just right. Valiant Hearts does a magnificent job of incorporating elements of the First World War. Each chapter introduces more iconic weapons of the conflict. Flamethrowers, zeppelins, tanks, barbed wire, mustard gas, and even things like military insurrection. Everything finds a place. And what I really like about Valiant Hearts is that it doesn't just chuck them in, it uses them in a way that makes sense, as a mechanic to learn, an obstacle to overcome, or even the basis for a new type of puzzle. Less successful is the way in which historical credentials are emphasised alongside the fiction it's trying to unfold. You're constantly bombarded with historical facts. Reading them is optional, but I found the prompt too insistent and a bit irritating in that it clashed with the sense of style created by the art. The game does a great job of presenting such information through the world itself. It doesn't need an Encarta 95 style appendix. Valiant Hearts focuses on how lives are torn apart, how strangers become saviours, and how madness thrives. And along the way, it does a great job of recounting those little acts of love and heroism that so often get drowned out by the violence. That's what it's really interested in. And while I could have done without some of the footnotes and heavy-handed narration, it remains a beautiful, harrowing experience. For more on Valiant Hearts, stay right here on IGN.